Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Life in the Jungle. It's your boy, Coach Cam. I got the Pharaoh with me, Alex Brantley, and we're gonna break down the Cleveland game that happened yesterday. Uh, hey, we still who they all day. It was a bad performance. Obviously, we'll dive deep into it. Um, it was a big divisional game, one that we were excited about. Um, Wanted to get some get back on Cleveland, especially with the past couple years. Unfortunately, we was just not able to do that as as the title of the episode, dog pounded yesterday, 41-16. And I'll let you dive right into it. We get straight into it here at Life in the Jungle. What happened?
First of all, before we dive right into it, I want to thank all of our viewers and listeners who tune in live and on Spotify. Check us out later on Facebook when we're not live. We appreciate you so much. I'm glad to be joined by the world's biggest University of Cincinnati football fan ever, and Coach Cam. Now, let's get into our Bengals yesterday.
Hmm.
Um, well, it was just one of those days, as Monica would say back in the day.
One of
We
those days.
we drive downfield, get down to the 2 yard line, maybe 1 yard line, and Joe drops back and he stares down Uno, which I'm sure a lot of defenses around the league have obviously picked up on now that we're halfway through and Uno has lit up the NFL. So we're not going to be able to do that anymore.
Hmm.
And there was a corner that you and I disagree on his ability, but there was a pretty good corner that went to the and he stepped in front of the pass and took it back to the house, 98 yards for a touchdown. Bengals do answer back, and Joe Dean gets busy, gives you a little jive in the end zone. But I knew when Jamar Chase fumbled that it was one of those days. So you text me, and I wasn't going at the time. I was saying, no, we can still turn this around, but it just kind of spiraled out of control. One of the things I'm worried about is taking a look at that defense also. We were shutting people down in one of the top units in the NFL. And all I'm going
Hmm.
to say is obviously there's something on film that people have figured out because we've been getting Olayed, we've been getting torched in the passing game up top, even gave one up to DPJ from that school up north that ran by. He's actually OBJ's replacement at this point. We got Cleveland looking like they did last year. So, as far as what exactly happened, we just got shell shocked. We weren't the only team. There were a lot of upsets around the league yesterday that took place, but it's something we got to get a hold on in a hurry because the Bengals are spiraling in the wrong direction. And we talked
Yeah.
about this after the Jets game, even off the record, that we hope this is not what would transpire afterwards. Something
Hmm.
that we've seen in other Bengals seasons where you have a loss like that and it just kind of sets the tone. This is where this new group of guys led by Joe and Chase and the guys on defense, Von Bell, are going to have to step up. Sam Hubbard, and stop this season from headed in the direction that it's going because it's certainly tilted right now.
Yes, yes, yes. And you called him. You said the Chase fumble. I knew it from the pick six, and I wrote you, and I said, you know what? It's one of those days, bro. He was like, I don't feel that way yet. I ain't going there yet. The Jodine touchdown made me feel better, but then they go right down the field, easy, and get a touchdown. Um, you know, I'm just not seeing much, and maybe because you get torched, you see things differently. But I'm not really seeing no creativity on defense. I think we were solid up. We were solid base defense, whatever we're in. This is what we're gonna show. This is what we're gonna do, and we were good, and we're good at that. But now teams are starting to counter that. And yesterday, with a player like Baker Mayfield, who I do not feel is a quarterback that can really beat you with his arm. It's more of Run game, run game, run game, play action off of that. He threw the ball 15 times yesterday. 15. So with me, and there were times where we were rushing Baker Mayfield with three. I'm never rushing Baker Mayfield with three. I'm bringing heat on him. I thought we brought Mike Hilton in to bring some, blitz packages, bring some more pressure off the edge, especially with our pass rush seeming to be down with just our front four. Hendrickson's the only one that can get pressure right now. So I feel like you have to get a little more creative and get into the quarterback and making the quarterback move off their spots. And let's just be honest. Cleveland, I told you it was a handful of O lines that are elite. The rest of them are average to below average. Cleveland Browns is one of those elite lines. They mold the Bengals defensive line, which I feel has been very good against the run all year. They blew them off the ball. And I mean, Chubb wasn't getting touched till he was 4 yards in. Um, I mean, that the blocking that I saw and some clips that I saw of the blocking scheme. Honestly, I'm tipping my hat to the Cleveland Browns. It was beautiful. Guards pulling, and they just staring Jesse Bates down, down the barrel. It's nothing. It's nothing that you could do as a defense. Um, Go ahead.
Well, I mean that's what they do though, right?
Hmm.
And it's funny in the backdrop of all this OBJ drama that they've had throughout the week. It's one of those addition by subtraction things because as soon as he's out of the door, they get back to what they do. They run the ball, they play action off of that. Baker Mayfield throws the ball only 15, 20 times a game, like you said. It's a recipe for success that they figured out. And they're getting healthy too. Cleveland's been a little banged up throughout the
Yep.
beginning of the year. Now, that's not to say that the Bengals certainly didn't have their woes defensively that contributed to it because they were.
Hmm.
It always seemed like they were half a step slow and out of position on the defensive side of the ball. And like you said, not a whole lot of creativity outside of Mike Hilton shooting up from his nickel, slot corner position trying to actually give not just pass coverage, but some support in the run game, like you
Hmm.
said as well. Hendrickson, like you said, has been the only consistent pass rusher that we've gotten, and that's starting to become an issue. Bengals let Darius Hodge go when he was claimed off the practice squad by the Dolphins earlier. Somebody that we had highlighted as potentially another pass rusher that could come in and help them. So now it actually is an issue. And then we get over to the offensive side of the ball,
Hmm.
where Joe Burrow, QB1, Joey Franchise, whatever you want to call him, was
Hmm.
sacked 5 times again. And not just sacked, he was getting beat up throughout the game.
Yep.
So it's still an issue. We had Jackson Carman out. He was listed as day to day. Probably wasn't ready enough to go. He didn't play. Adeniji stepped in. He struggled. It's still an issue. We talked about this before. Bengals fans like to throw the whole Chase thing up. Look, hey, I'm glad Uno's here too. But as we talked about off the record, more than one thing can be true at the same time. Uno might have been the right pick, but we still have a problematic offensive line that is going to get Joe hurt and hurt bad probably again if we don't get this fixed. Now we are starting to play some teams that are a little better up front on both sides of the ball, and
Yep.
you're seeing it's becoming an issue. Tyler Boyd only targeted what, three
Twice.
times, twice, the
Twice.
entire game, and that's a problem for me going forward, as well. Now you mentioned why you thought that it not necessarily fall or fail on Zach Taylor yesterday.
Hmm. Yes. Yes.
Well,
Yes. Oh, go ahead. Go
can
ahead,
you
brother.
elaborate? Because I want to know why, and then I'll counter
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I will definitely answer the Zach Taylor question. I just want to get to our comments here. We got Chris Taylor, Who Dey Nation, baby. We here. No matter what, Corey Brooker says Joe stares down first read. He has zero chance 95% of the time to get to the second read. Well, that was that I want to talk. I will talk about when I talk about Zach Taylor there as well. Chris Taylor said, I will say the defense has fallen off a bit, and the offensive line is getting exposed. Joe has to do better knowing people are watching Uno and TB needs more targets, which what we just talked about. and what we kind of talked about today off the record. uh, one of our loyal watchers, Jay Coop here. You know, he ain't a Bengals fan, so uh, he said, "What's up, y'all? Appreciate it." Anthony Scott says, "Man, Hoods got taken yesterday in regards to the Bengals defense." Um, I can agree with that. I mean, once you get blew off the ball and get ran down your throat, and the team only has to throw the ball 15 times. Uh, that's just simply not good. I always told you on this show, I'd rather for a team to throw all over the yard on me than run down my throat. It's demoralizing. Just take something out of you as a defense.
It's a gut check moment, and particularly
Yeah.
when you're talking about Battle of Ohio, a divisional game like that. Cleveland made a statement yesterday. Now it's
Mhm.
up to the Bengals to lick their wounds, get stuff together during the bye week, and come out and correct this ship. But Cleveland's showing you they're getting stronger as the stretch run is coming along. They've cleared out some of the distractions. I hate to put OBJ in that category, but I mean it is what it is at this point. And Cleveland's getting healthier, so Baltimore had some trouble with Minnesota yesterday, and they were able to respond and do what they needed to do. It's up to the Bengals to do the same thing. But like you said, I would rather, get exposed through the air than my manhood taken, so to speak, on the football field, because you don't even see that much anymore as far as teams running the ball like that. But
Yeah.
again, Cleveland knows what their identity is, and that's why I want to tie that back into the Zach Taylor thing that we were alluding to. Cleveland has an identity. Over the past couple years, the only time that they've really ran into any trouble is when they've strayed from that identity. That being run the football, play action with Baker Mayfield, let those hounds go on that defensive line, and they've consistently drafted to upgrade their secondary. Whether it's Newsom or Del Pitts or Burke over Denzel Ward over the years, that's what they've been doing. Greedy Williams was another addition, that they got. So it's something that they're building in the right way. And I don't want to say that the Bengals aren't, because they are, but when it comes down to coaching and scheming, Zach Taylor's sitting over there and he's seeing what's happening also. And it's up to him still to make those necessary in-game adjustments and so forth to get his team back on track. Because what you're seeing right now is you're starting to see some pattern, and they're probably looking around, questioning each other a little bit. And that's where you need your head coach to be that steadying force, to do so. We praise Joey B a lot,
Mhm.
rightfully so, on here. But if you check the stats today, I want you to look at who's tied for the most interceptions in the league with Sam Darnold.
It's Joe Burrow with 11,
Joe
and
Burrow has to do a better job of taking care of the ball. It seems like we've mentioned this before. He's got to get one or two mulligans out of the way each game, particularly early, it seems like, before he settles in and says, okay, I can't do that. Well, yesterday it cost you because it kind of tilted things from the very start, and the Bengals were playing catch up the whole time, and they weren't able to catch up. So
yep,
that's something that has to be corrected.
absolutely, absolutely. Jay Cooper is correct. It's about to get cold, and Cleveland run game is not even at 100% yet, which is true. They have Kareem Hunt. They still got some pieces on the line that's out, which could get stronger. I mean, you just have to be honest there after that win yesterday by Cleveland. But Anthony Scott here says they need to roll out Burrow more and use Uzama more. Also use Mixon and Chris Evans, number 25, more in the screen game. Boy has to be more involved in the offense as well. I agree. Um, I agree with that. And Corey says, but how many of his balls are picked balls that bounce off his guy's hand? But I will say this: a lot of the balls that are tipped, the defenders are getting their hands on it too. It's not like we're just going through our hands and somebody just kept. No, no. The defenders are making plays on the ball. The ball is in the air and they're catching it, which means that maybe the throw is not as safe as we would like it to be.
And that's
Uh,
what I wanted to mention and piggyback off of, because again, it's not baseball. We can't put the air category out there. When that happens, it still ends up in the books as an INT, and a lot of times it is because Joe, who, yes, you have to live by the gun, die by the gun, so to speak, take the good with the bad. He trusts his arm a little bit too much sometimes, and he tries to gun balls into tight spaces where they probably shouldn't be, And that's what you see a lot when you do that. You see balls getting deflected, tipped up in the air. Receiver only gets one hand on it, gets tipped up for an INT. But what we also saw yesterday is, our boy, who again is off to a historic start, again, not going to switch gears and talk bad about him or anything like that. Everybody's happy Uno's here. But he had a horrible game yesterday, hauling in passes as well. So there was enough blame
Mhm.
to go around because there were times where Joe did get the ball out and to him and the play wasn't made. T. Higgins had a couple 50-50 balls that, he wasn't able to come down with either. There was a lot wrong with yesterday's performance for more than one group on the field.
Oh yes, absolutely. Multiple blame to go around. But going back to the Zach Taylor thing, yesterday I didn't think it was so much Zach Taylor. The reason why I say this, we come out and I always get on the Bengals. Yet the script is horrible. The offensive script is horrible. Our first 15 plays stink. But however, we march down the field, boom, 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 boom. Not much resistance at all. We throw the pick. Obviously, we give them 7. And to be honest, it looked like we were going to just march on into the end zone. Why is it first? Why we in goal to go and we're not running the ball is still baffling to me. I'm not so much as an old school football guy like you, however, but when it's goal to go, I would like to see a run in there somewhere along the lines, especially when Jodine was cooking early. So you look at that. You look at that and then you say, okay, that could have been 7 to start the game. And no, and then you feeling good about yourself. Defense is fired up. We got 7. We up 7-0. Let's go. You know, because then the next drive, even after the pick 6, we come down and we score right back. So those are
Yeah.
2 drives in a row where you could have got 14 points easy. And it wasn't like I don't even think we faced many downs on those drives. It was boom, 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 score. So I felt the game plan was fine. But when you throw pick sixes, when you fumble in your own territory, when you're down 24-7, your game script goes out the window. Whatever you drew up, whatever you plan, you gotta ball it up and throw it in the garbage. And this offensive line is not built for us to come back 14, 17 points against a defensive line like that when it's straight dropbacks and they can get to pin their ears back with Miles Garrett, who's probably the best pass rusher in the game, and that defense, period. So what reason why I'm letting Zach Taylor off the hook for this game is because I feel like the players did not execute. I felt like, like you said, and I praise Uno all day. Everybody know I'm a big Uno fan. He dropped, a touchdown catch, that slipped through his arms. It seemed like he dropped another one, a bomb down the sideline. That's a combined almost 60, 70 yards that he left out on the field. So when I look at that and I say, Zach Taylor, I can't give him, full blame for this because he
Not
was actually
full.
he was
Not
actually creative. We had some flea flickers, we had some toss backs, we had, so the things that we was asking for as far as creativity, he brought to us. But when you're down 24-7, the script goes out the window.
he did initially, but that's my point. This is the NFL. At times, you're going to have to go off script, even if you start the game off well and the other team adjusts. And that's something that our previous head coach, Marvin Lewis, got blasted for a lot in his 16 years here with lack of in-game adjustments, or once it was determined that whatever script or game plan we had in advance wasn't working. A lot of people say, well, the Bengals aren't going to win if they have to adjust and what they're doing isn't working. Well, I'm just saying we got 2 straight weeks of this happening to where you see once it's not going right, it continues not to go right. At a
Hmm.
certain point, that's where you need scheming and coaches to, analyze and say, okay, this is what we're not doing well. This is what they are, speaking of the opponent, doing well. What are we going to do to adjust? And yes, it's up to the guys on the field to go out and execute, because you can have the perfect game plan. And if the guys don't go out there and execute, it doesn't matter. I get that. But I just need Zach and company to be able to rally the troops and adjust when stuff does start to go downhill, because that's what's going to happen in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. I got Corey Brooker here say yesterday was the first day I can say I looked at Joe and he had doubt on his face. Not sure if he wasn't feeling himself or the game plan, but he usually oozes with confidence. Uh, now I
Well,
I'm
y-
not sure what. Like I said, I thought the game plan to start the game was great. I thought
but
when things were,
you sent me a video earlier this day
I did
where they were in the huddle before that 2 point conversion attempt, and we saw Joe Mixon's reaction to the
to the
play
play
call.
call. The play call was awful.
Joe kind of looked back like, really?
Is that
Speaking
it?
of
Yeah,
Joe
yeah,
Burrow, like,
yeah.
so no, there's some doubt. I still don't think there's doubt in guys' ability to get stuff done and win games. They won enough games already to the point to let them know if they execute, they belong in most of these games. But what
Right,
you are starting to see the last 2 weeks is again, something has been figured out by opponents both in defending the Bengals and on the other side of the ball, attacking the Bengals defense, that we need to spend all of this bye week getting adjusted. And like you
I
said, the
agree.
staring down Uno stuff is not going to work anymore. Everybody
No,
knows the kid is a star. He's put up the most yards through this point, in NFL history. It's not going to work. And then, we had a viewer mention, well, Joe doesn't have time to go through the rest of his progressions. Well, that goes back to what we've been saying about the offensive line, but he's going to have to find time or roll out, as one of the, members suggested, viewers suggested, but it's something that has to be corrected. Now, what I do want to caution everybody, because I was going to ask this at the beginning and we kind of got going. To be honest, now it looks bad because of how we started. In 2 weeks, we went from being number one in the AFC at 5-2 to now being 5-4. So I got you. But how many people, honestly, at the beginning of the year, if we told you the Bengals going into the bye week would be 5-4, would have even thought that was possible?
and
It's
that's the thing. It's 5-4. Look, like we had our predictions on here in preseason. And I said, 8 and 9 is my, you know, I looked at the schedule and said we could get to 5-4 by the bye. However, the way we got to 5-4 is what stings. It's not that we're 5-4. We're in the thick of things.
right.
You come out, you have a strong second half. You go 4-4 even in the second half of the season. You got a chance. However, it's just the way you got to 5-2 because you beat the Ravens, right? And we riding on cloud nine. We happy, and we got a right to be. And you look down the road and you say, okay, the Jets, if we can get that one 6-2, and then if you drop to the Browns 6-3 at the bye week, at minimum we talk 6-3 at the bye week at minimum. But then when you hit the 2 game skid and now you 5-4 after 5-2, that's what make it look bad. It's not that we're 5-2. I mean 5-4. Excuse me. I'm cool with 5-4 right now. The last year, where were we at after 9 games? 2-7 or 2-6-1.
See, but
So
that's why when I asked you at the beginning of the year when we were talking about what maybe Bengals management and fans needed to see from Zach Taylor to prove that he was, the right guy for the job at this point this year, and like you said, it depends on how the 7-10 looks or how the 9-8 looks, and like you said, how we've gotten to this point now,
mhm.
because 5-4 is a lot more uglier than maybe if we were on a 3 or 4 game winning streak to get to that point. We've lost two in a row, two against still teams that most people, even the analysts nationally, said the Bengals probably were favored and should have won in those games. So now you've got a completely different complexion, on the season. And then you had to deal with the old Aju, I call it the Ghostbusters thing of, the slime around the city, oh, here we go again. I mean, you could hear it even with George Vogel on the news today and everything. And then in the backdrop of, I'm going to change the subject just slightly, Cincinnati Reds continuing their fire sale of players and even talking about getting rid of Castillo now. But
It's bad.
when it comes to the Reds, it's hard. Oh, we'll get them next year. But boy, let them Bengals hit a 2-game losing streak, and it's smoke in the city.
Yeah, and that's my thing. Like about that though. Like, look, I was hot watching that game yesterday. I was very upset. Not that we lost, it's how we lost. You get bullied, you get punked out at the line of scrimmage. I don't like losing like that. I don't like losing like that in basketball. Hey, you can beat me, but you gonna know you played us. That's you walk away with the other team tipping their cap and say, you know what, we had to fight for that one. I can live with that. But they just beat us down, man. They beat us down, and but I'm not the one that sit up here and say it's the Brown family. You know, you get those people. Until the Brown family does this, da 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 da. They spent $200 million for crying out loud.
What the hell does Katie or Mr. Brown have to do with what happened yesterday? Nothing.
Nothing, nothing. That I mean, it was our first division loss. I mean, this division is murderous row. We know it when all four teams are clicking in the division. It's it's like no other. So you're gonna have games if we don't come out with your A game, you're gonna get scores like this. We did Baltimore the same way. They ain't come out with their A game. What we beat them what 41-16, 41-17, same thing. That's what's
Yeah,
gonna happen in this division if you don't come with your A game.
and
Uh,
and I
Go
think
ahead.
another thing for us Cincinnati fans is obviously nobody wants to hear Cleveland fans jugging on you and having, bragging rights. Because again, last year they made the playoffs for the first time in almost 20 years. And you get all kind of crap from Browns fans. Oh, we're the better organization and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to be stuck in the past either. But, um, prior to Marvin's last, 2 years, we had come off of a 5-year playoff stretch where the Browns weren't even sniffing, the playoffs. And that's the NFL. It changes year to year. Everything's reciprocal, and it requires a good front office and ownership group to let them do what they need to do and having the right coach and staff in play. It's a lot more than what just goes on the field. And the Bengals, for the first time this year, we're starting to get some of that right under Zach Taylor. And it's still not over with. Like you said, okay, they lost 2 games and they're still right in the thick of things because of the start that the Bengals got off to. So, there's a lot that can still go right with this season. But again, this bye week is going to have to be critical. Joe's going to have to step up and continue to be a leader and make sure guys aren't getting down on themselves too bad. Because I saw the same thing yesterday that our guy mentioned. I did for the first time kind of see Joe with I don't know what the hell is going on out here look on his face. As Coach Lombardi said, "What the hell is going on out here?" Like it was, it was one of those days.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Got my boy Steele here says it's the nature of the NFL. The better team doesn't always win. We witnessed that all weekend, and it's true. We seen the Buffalo Bills lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, things happen. It's the NFL. Any given Sunday,
Yeah, that
that's what.
that University of Cincinnati alumni coach Urban Meyer got his second win on the season.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that University of Cincinnati alumni.
Stop, stop. Ohio State coach, former
Oh,
the coach,
we can't
Urban
even
Meyer.
keep it Cincinnati on here because you got this Buckeye guy, this hater up here, man.
No, no, we ain't going there.
Did Urban Meyer not graduate from the University of
Yes, he
Cincinnati?
did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Okay, and sometimes I forget if I did or not because you won't even give me that. But get
I get confused.
I
But we're gonna keep it Bengals.
yeah okay.
We
Let's
we
go
can go
back
left field
to
real quick. Okay, we can go left field real quick.
see they're not privy to our off the air conversations.
They're not. They're not at all.
They
So
would probably get even more ratings, probably.
indeed, indeed. But no, my issue on the offense is the lack of use of Tyler Boyd. We say it all day. It's levels to this. You know what I'm saying? And he's one of the best. I feel like the best slot receiver in the league. What's going? Why aren't we using him? Is it? I mean, it can't be just because we're staring down Uno and T Higgins, because T Higgins getting a lot of targets too, and he's not coming up with 50-50 balls, and that's what we asking for him.
Cooper Cup would like to argue with you on that one, but I feel the same way
Like,
because,
yeah, he can argue.
but I feel the same way that TB is that guy in the slot. It's something that I mentioned to Bengals fans if we drafted Chase was probably going to happen. And it's just the semantics and the business and the way things go. I don't think anybody is intentionally trying to freeze Tyler Boyd out of the game plan. That would be idiotic. But when you have somebody like a Jamar Chase who comes in number 5 overall pick, sets the record for most receiving yards, through this amount of games for any player, already has a bond with Joe Burrow and chemistry from college. T. Higgins, he established that last year as a rookie. I said just on GP, TB might be the odd man out as far as decreased touches. Now, yesterday was still ridiculous by any measure. Only 2 targets and 1 catch. That can't happen regardless. I mean, I don't care if you got to start trying to force the ball to him to get him involved in the game plan. But it's just, I think through attrition, that's what's going to happen. TB is already on his second contract with the Bengals. I believe that was 2018 or 2017 when he signed that
Mhm.
4-year, $40 million deal. It's going to get to a point where the Bengals are going to have to start looking future and decide, hey, it's Chase, it's T. Higgins. They're the ones that are going to get the majority of the targets. I mentioned this last year when everybody was blasting AJ Green, when I was saying, there are opportunities that were out there that he was not targeted and he was not even looked at. Part of that game plan. There's
Mhm.
also a business side that trickles down to on the field also, whether people want to admit to or not. Now, you just saw our last opponent when OBJ was part of that team. His dad posted an 11-minute video of OBJ not being targeted. And he was open on a lot of those, routes too. So
Right.
again, I'm not even remotely starting nothing here or saying that it's intentional. It's not, but it's just the kind of way the beast works sometimes. And you have to think that going forward, yes, Uno and T. Higgins are going to be the featured guys in this offense. It's just my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, but if that's going to be the case, and he has one more year on this deal after this, I believe,
Yeah.
do you look at trying to get something for him? Like, I mean, that's what any other smart team would do. I mean, especially with his
Yeah.
targets being diminished as
That's
much as
not
it is.
really it's not really our history though, and I don't
It's
even mean
not. We
that.
gon' we gonna pay you to your last year to your last snap.
And I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't even mean that as a negative
Right.
attribute because, like the Brown family or not, and like I said, I'm certainly not as hard on them as some other Bengals fans are.
Mhm.
You have a better chance at finishing out your deal and getting all your money here in Cincinnati than you do in probably 90% of the other situations across the NFL. Because across the NFL and other teams, you're looking at, okay, what am I getting up front? As long as you're productive and you're not injured, you got a good chance of finishing your deal here in Cincinnati. And no, we don't usually trade guys off as we should when they still have something left in the tank. So no, it'll probably be what you're witnessing this year with Jesse Bates playing out the last year of, his rookie deal. I don't necessarily see the Bengals offering up any trade bait, for him, and he's probably going to walk at the end of the year. I know you were very vocal after the game yesterday about, your opinions on Jesse Bates. We certainly disagree there, but that would be a
Mhm.
nice segue. Speaking of that and the business and the semantics of it, since we do have a bye week, we can throw some of these hypotheticals out there. So why are you saying, just so our viewers are clear and people can chime in, why are you saying that you feel like we should move on from Jesse Bates?
My thing is this: 16 million a year. You're talking about maybe anywhere from 36 to 40 guaranteed. Now, when I think of say like paying a safety of that caliber, I need a game changer. on that on at that position. When I see Jesse Bates, I don't see a Derwin James. I don't see a Tyrann Matthew. That's why when who was that? I can't. Jamal Adams reset the market. I'm like, oh snap, because Jamal Adams to me he's a glorified linebacker. So when I look at Jesse Bates, yes, can he? Is he good? Yes, absolutely. But when you talk about paying 16 million a year, I don't know if that's realistic for us.
He's easily the best free safety the Bengals have had since Reggie Nelson.
That's
You know,
fair.
I can make an argument, probably the most talented since going back to maybe a Mediu Williams, back there in the early part of the 2000s. And my
Mm,
question was,
like,
okay, are the Bengals better without Jesse Bates though? Because that's what it comes down to. If you say, well, I don't want paying that money.
I'm gonna ask this. Okay, like how good are we with Jesse Bates? Like that's what that's where it falls in line to me. Like I get it. The defense had uh so many issues last year, and up front in the front seven, that I think it gave Jesse Bates more plays to make him look a little bit better. And this year, I think it's fewer plays for him to make, and because the front seven up to the last couple weeks have done their job, that now when he does miss a few plays, it's highlighted because you're not getting 10, 12 tackles a game anymore because the front seven is getting get. So when they come through the hole and you missing tackles in the box and they get to run for 25, that's highlighted to me. Like I just can't see paying 16 million necessarily for that. I love Jesse Bates. I'm not sitting up here
Well,
trying to clip
I'm a
Jesse Bates.
DB guy, so I love defensive backs. I'm always going
I
to
do
defend
too.
them
I love them. I think they're
and
very
try to
important.
try to get them they bag, when they deserve it. Um, my thing with that though is why is Jesse Bates having to make the tackle so often or come
Well,
up and do
well
that?
that last year he definitely had to make every daggone tackle, or it was trouble.
Well, but
This year,
it's headed back that direction the past 2 weeks. Just staying current.
yeah,
We're having a problem stopping the run. Now,
yeah.
maybe we
Now
shouldn't overreact because Cleveland, it's Cleveland, as you said, one of the best offensive lines, and we only got to see one of their superior running backs with Kareem Hunt being hurt, yesterday.
mhm.
So maybe we're jumping the gun a little bit, but just my football eyes are telling me that teams have adjusted. They see something, and it's up to Sweet Lou to plug these holes right now. And
I
if
give
we
you
take
that.
Jesse Bates out of the equation, I just don't see that getting any better. Because it's not like you're going to draft somebody that's going to come in and even play at Jesse Bates level right away. I mean, you get lucky, but I don't, what's the likelihood?
No, I get it. I understand losing Bates will be a risk, but for from the eye test, remove your scarlet and gray glasses for 5 seconds here. Eye test. Yeah, now take them off. Take them off. Eye test. I'll say from second half of last year to right now, who's playing better, Von Bell or Jesse Bates? You put them off, Walker. Scarlet and
um,
gray. Can't y'all see it?
I think that the former AP first team All American from
Oh my God.
the is playing better right now. I mean, I think he is. I'm sorry I had to get
Yeah,
that
no,
in.
no, he is. No, you're right. I
But
think he is too.
you have to give him his proper introduction. But
Yeah, but see, but that's my thing though. It's like I'm just like I don't know. I don't know about 16 million. But my thing is, if it was any other organization, and I'm not trying to dog the Bengals because they have been opening up the pockets. They've been doing things right, appealing to the fan base, everything like that. I'm gonna definitely give them credit for that. But it's like it was like this year. We didn't extend Bates to a long term deal. We didn't use any of that money anywhere. That's my only drawback from not signing
But
Bates. Because
traditionally, and when I say we, I'm speaking of the Bengals. They
mhm,
don't spend big money on the
on
safety position. I
safety
mean,
and
it's
guards,
just
they don't
fact.
do it.
Over the weekend, former Bengals Pro Bowl safety, some people say maybe the best ever that the Bengals had, and David Fulcher had his number retired at Arizona State. So shout out to David Fulcher, three-time Pro Bowler, started safety, strong safety here when the Bengals made the Super Bowl last in '88. Also, I've had their starting free safety that year, Solomon Wilcox, good friend of mine, had him on Factual Opinions, but even those two will tell you, I mean, it's just not a position that the Bengals value. Usually, what they try to do is they try to get by with a six rounder like George Iloka and hope that he develops into a good guy. Or we got lucky with, the Reggie Nelson trade. The Jaguars gave up on him. Mike Zimmer, one of the greatest defensive coaches I've ever seen, revives his career. We tried it again with Taylor Mays and did not really work out. Another bargain deal where if it did, yeah, great, but it didn't. It's just not a position where the Bengals typically are going to spend a lot of bread on. That guard is another one, and we certainly have an issue with guard and center right now that needs to be taken care of.
Hey man, look, guard. I understand we got some young guys shuffling in and now trying to figure out that piece. I can get that, but that center position, man. Like once again, like I don't know. Look, I love Trey Hopkins. I do. Um, but he's struggling. He's struggling big time. Letting guys just come straight free. I mean, wow, he's just looking completely clueless. And that's the worst pressure a quarterback can have is up the middle. You could deal with edge pressure, stepping up in the pocket, moving side to side, but when it's in your face, there's nothing you can do. And I really hope that the Bengals look to upgrade those two positions. Let's see here. We got some comments here. Jay Coop said y'all don't run the ball enough, and boy, it went from top man on campus to where he is to where he let me see. To where is he? It's simple. If you use all your weapons, it's hard to game plan. But hey, I agree. These like I look at the Cardinals. They got Christian Kirk, AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore, and they find a way to get them in the game plan, all of them. So it's something that we do have to do. Corey Brooker says, "Can you get a comparable player for less money?" Yes, I think so. With Von Bell, I think we have two similar safeties. Go get a coverage guy and let Von do his thing like he was when he was in NO. I mean, that's something that
It's a
I
fair
really do.
point, but we always have to keep it at least on Life in the Jungle. In terms of the Bengals when we're discussing this, are we going to find that guy? Be it the draft, be it free agency. Does he want to come to Cincinnati if it's a free agent thing? Because that's another thing that we honestly deal with here. Even Aaron Rodgers was talking about that with Green Bay, and Green Bay fans got to see a little bit of taste of life without Aaron Rodgers yesterday. But he said over the summer, even speaking to them, hey, guys ain't coming here to play in Green Bay. They're coming here to play with me and chase championships. Now, you hope that we have that with Burrow, that effect where guys want to come here and the Bengals are spending a little bit more money to do so. So I'm happy with that situation. But again, sure bets are hard to find across this league, no matter who you are, and I just don't like seeing sure bets walk out of the door. I watched
Mhm.
Sunday Night Football yesterday, and there was another sure bet that probably should have retired in a Bengals uniform.
Oh, don't even tell
I
me.
have to mention it, Cam. I mean, because look, and I was with the Bengals when that decision was made because he was 36 years old. If you're playing the odds, if you're looking at analytics like you do sometimes more so than me, you're saying, well,
I'd
do
say
we
about
want to
35% of the analytics.
do we want to give that amount of money to a 36-year-old tackle? Look, the eye in the sky don't lie. Man is still getting it done. And if people don't know who I'm talking about one of the greatest offensive tackles in franchise history, Andrew Whitworth, who is the current left tackle with the Rams. And I only
Mhm.
brought that up to say that sometimes when you have sure bets, you need to do what you need to do to keep them here, which the Bengals have done. AJ Green, Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap. I think we got the best, out of some of those guys. Leon Hall. There were a couple other guys that we made sure we gave 2 and 3 contracts to. And I'm just saying, if you're not sure that you can find a comparable player,
Mm-hmm.
don't risk it, because that's what we're talking about now with the Bengals continuing to improve right now is continuity, keeping everything the same. Guys being used to being in this system. If it costs you $16 million a year, I mean, look, the Bengals, although they spent that amount of money, they're still in the top 10 as far as available cap space also. So let's not get it confused. They still have money to spend.
Oh, they got money to spend, but that and that's see that I feel like look, and I'm gonna get to these comments before I dig deep here. Anthony Scott agrees with you. Have to sign Bates, if not, they'll regret it. What's the alternative? It looks like he agrees with you there. Pharaoh, let's see here. We got Chris Taylor said they are a compliment, honestly. Vaughn by himself may not be the best move, which could be true. Definitely could be true there. Let's see here. We got Corey Brookins say bargain deal next year equal Malik Hooker. Oh my God! All the talent in the world will be cheap again because of injuries, and add another guy from the man. Look, Malik Hooker does have all the talent in the world, but he can't stay healthy, man. It's unfortunate because he was a special talent coming out of the Ohio State. But I can't
I don't
take a
know why
risk
those
on him.
guys just keep popping up like that. But anyway, um,
But mentioning it because I was going to get on something, but I wanted to touch the comments because I wanted to let the people know we here. We were looking at that.
well, make sure we get all the comments though.
Oh, the comments. I got all of them. I got all of them. I got all of them because I want to talk about what I was going to talk about next about this defense and starting to figure out. Maybe offense starts starting to figure us out. It ain't
Okay.
that. We want to talk about guys from the when you have Eli Apple as your second corner. That's gonna rear its
Yes,
head
playing
eventually.
for the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes.
No,
So
no,
he
no,
is
no,
so
no,
he
no,
is
no,
a part of
no,
this
no, no,
ball
no,
club,
no,
right?
no.
Is he a
All we
part of
do
this
is,
ball club?
huh?
Is he a part of this ball club?
He's a part of the ball club,
We don't
and he's
single guys out
and
on
he's
Life in the Jungle.
and where is he from?
We, you know where he's from.
No, you don't want to say the when it comes to Eli Apple. You're
No,
resenting one of
listen.
your Buckeyes
I
now.
will say the
Okay, that's all.
because
That's all I wanted to hear
he
you say.
was a starting
The
corner on the 2014 first ever college football national championship winning team.
and right now, Eli Apple from the is killing us. Okay, I mean,
Okay,
but
the look, we made a pact as we started this show not to single guys out, regardless of what
we're not.
school they went to, and that's all I'm trying to steer away. Look, of course he's a Buckeye, and yes, he's struggling. I am not, going to shy away from that. But again, something else you mentioned. Why is he struggling? Because he is playing a role that he wasn't even bought here to do. He was bought here to be a rotational corner and be a third or fourth corner, come in and spell guys, come on the field in dime situations where you know absolutely it was a pass, but yet you still had your best corners on the field. He's on the field because we've got nothing out of Trey Waynes for that 3 year, $45 million contract that we gave him.
No, no, and but that on a serious note, that's what I'm saying though. How long can you really sustain a top 10 defense when you have Eli Apple starting at corner? And this is not where he's from, it's about anybody. When you
Well, but
have
we talked about that earlier too off the record. One of the trades that a lot of national analysts even threw out that I thought made sense that maybe the Bengals, and we don't have confirmation that they didn't, but I don't think they did, at least pick up the phone and ask the Dolphins, what do you want for Xavier Howard?
mhm. Yeah,
You
I
know,
I was disappointed in that. You're 5-2, and I get it. You don't want to be like the Dolphins, where you feel like you arrive, you mortgage your farm, and then you're sitting and you're maybe 2-7, and you don't have a first round pick and things like that. I get that. I understand that. But this team, as currently constructed, you got your quarterback, you got your weapons. We need a little line help. But there's just a few holes that we could plug to make sure, like, okay, this doesn't happen. Now, if you talk about having a Woozier and Xavier Howard at the corners, you
Ooh.
can get more risky with blitzes. You can bring Hilton off the edge. You can maybe blitz a Von Bell because you have two corners that can hold their own in man coverage.
Well,
And I
let me
think
ask you something then, and
go
this
ahead,
is
go ahead, go
getting
ahead.
a little, ahead of finishing out this season. So then, what is the answer as far as addressing the rest of these holes? We've mentioned that it has to be a combination of free agency and the draft if the Bengals are going to compete in today's NFL. And they've done a better job at doing that over the past few years. So knowing that you have the center and guard positions up front that definitely still need to be addressed, and that you need a starting corner opposite of a Woozier. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't a Woozier come here on a 1 year deal?
No, 3 years. He
A
was a
three.
3 year
Okay.
deal.
Well, so we got him, and but maybe do you look for a corner in round one, which the Bengals have had, I'd say, a reasonable amount of success over the years, going all the way back to Jonathan Joseph of drafting first round corners, and maybe get, let's say, somebody that you've had an opportunity to see a lot. And maybe a Sauce Gardner from the University of Cincinnati, who's a Jim Thorpe Award candidate, might walk away with the trophy as the best defensive back in the country. Would
From
you?
the Cincinnati University.
Yes,
From the University of Cincinnati.
from my alma mater, the University of Cincinnati. So
Barely. Barely.
so look, I can't even give him credit without this dude getting on me. No, but what I'm trying to ask, even in saying that, is corner and line, offensive line, two
Mhm.
biggest priorities right now. If you had to peg them for the Bengals,
That them two in edge rushing. Yep. You just can't have one edge rusher in Hendrickson. He gonna get you a sack a game. He's proven that. Sack to a sack and a half a game. But nobody else is giving you nothing. You
see,
know,
because I think we got really lucky with Awuzie and Mike Hilton playing at the level that they did. Because to my knowledge, yeah, there were other teams interested in both guys, but probably not the way they would garner interest now after the seasons they're having here. And I
right.
say that to say most of the time with corners, first of all, if it's free agency, you know you got to spend big money. Because
Mhm.
honestly, we probably overpaid to get Trey Waynes to come here based on his
That's what happened.
production
And,
with the Vikings.
and you know what? I think the Bengals did a great job by not repeating that and over, paying William Jackson the third. We was able to get two corners for one, which really helped. Because can you imagine where we're not without Hilton or Uzier, where we at the corner spot now?
But
I mean, that,
oftentimes, if you're drafting an elite corner, a number one corner, shutdown corner, whatever. Although I'm careful about using that term
yeah,
unless I'm referring to prime time. Uh, you have to draft that guy in round one. Okay, the
yeah,
Richard Sherman getting drafted in the fifth round and becoming an all time great. That stuff is extremely rare.
I agree. I agree.
So it's a decision where the Bengals are going to have to decide which one they're going to address in the draft and which one they're going to address in free agency, or
Yes,
do both.
do bo- do both, and that's where we was kind of stuck. We were stuck at after the whole argument, picking wise, blah 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 blah. We came to the conclusion where you know what, we picked the guy, we aced the guy, we aced the pick. However, we did not do enough outside of that to fix the offensive line. I do feel like Ahmad Gardner is one of the best cover corners in the country. I do,
Of
no
course
hold
you do.
bar.
Of
I
course you
said, I mean, you can call me biased if you want.
do.
I
You're
always said,
biased.
if you switch his name with Stingley's and you put LSU across his jersey, you would not be. Everybody would say Ahmad Gardner's the number one corner in the nation if he had LSU across his jersey. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you talk about dude that 3 years ain't gave up a touchdown. Like, come on, man. I don't care who you play. That's absurd. Like that's and a quarterback has a higher quarterback rate. Just throw the ball in the dirt than throwing at him. Like, I mean, that's just saying something. I think he's gonna fall in the middle between like that 15 to 20 range where we
Right where
possibly
the
could pick.
Bengals could possibly be picking this year.
And if we pass on Sauce, I will be hot because I feel like uh, that will be a corner that could be good for years to come. Him, Stingley, Stingley's going like top five, so I don't consider him. But when you talk about mid to first round level talent, the way you can feel like you get a steal and get a top 10 talent, I think Sauce is a guy. Unless he
Doesn't
just
the
kills it
UC
at
have an
contract.
edge rusher this year too that is
Mike J.
probably only
Sanders.
picked in the first few rounds? Yeah.
Yep. Mike J. Sanders is looking like a day two guy as well. Um, So I mean, those are some holes that we could fill there. Um, but overall, man, it's not doom and gloom. I felt that way after yesterday because I was scared that the Jets loss could possibly have a ripple effect and a trickle effect to carry over, for the rest of the season. The bye is definitely important. It definitely came at a right time. Uh, considering what's going on and considering the pulse of the team. So just to kind of hit the reset button a little bit,
Stop
guys,
the bleeding.
stop the bleeding. Guys, gotta get to relax mentally for a few days and then get back to it and hit the ground running.
I think that's gonna be the title of the next episode. Stop the bleeding.
Stop the bleeding. Stop the bleeding. And I know it's a bad week, people, but next week we will still have a show. We will have a mid-season awards for the team, and we'll break down expectations after the bye week. It probably won't be that much of a long one. Probably won't be our show like normal, but we will break down. We will break down mid-season awards. We will break down what we want to see from the Bengals coming out of the bye week.
And we'll have some posts and other material throughout the week. Please check out the Life in the Jungle page. We do post funny videos and stuff and other material for you to check out, throughout the week, keeping you up to date on things that may happen with the team, any videos officially that the team posts. A lot of times we reshare, but we come up with our own stuff too. Also, we'll do some fun things like we will have a poll up that, I'll get up in Life in the Jungle and announce it. I want to know who everybody who supports the Bengals, love the Bengals. I want to know who your favorite Cincinnati Bengals player is. So look for that link of all time. Reflect on some of the greats that have come through here. We've had a lot of great players. It's not all gloom and doom, even from a historical standpoint. They
Hmm.
showed that on College Game Day at the University of Cincinnati, the history that the Reds have had, history that the Bengals have had, UC, even that other school that I hate mentioning because I am a UC alum, and my hate for them is almost as much as it is for that maize and blue team up north. But yeah, I'll let you say that other team that also plays in Cincinnati area because I don't mention their name. That's how legit UC alumni I am. Like I can't stand
Oh,
mentioning their name, but you say the name if you want. But
nah, I ain't gonna say it,
yeah, I
but
think they wear blue and gray or blue and white, something like
whatever that garbage is. But
that.
no, we appreciate everybody tuning in. We appreciate everyone watching us, continue to support. Just Anthony, Chris, Corey, Kenny, J. Coop. All you guys you watch every week. We appreciate you.
The day
We
ones, my man Brian Chamberlain in the
Yep,
house too.
yep. But I believe your boy. I didn't get a chance to catch him, but I believe.
Yep, Dan the man is in the crib.
Yep. So I appreciate it. We're gonna continue to do big things and continue to try to make the show as best as we possibly can. Um, but we 5-4. We 5-4. Let's kind of calm down. Let's kind of relax. I had to calm down and relax after yesterday and kind of look at the big picture. We're 5-4. We're still in the thick of things. Um, last two
Yeah,
years we
people
couldn't
don't
say.
know. I had to talk to Cam all week to make sure that he was going to be all right enough to do the show. Cam is, if you don't follow this man on social media, you should. Cam has been on one for the entire week. I mean, his blood pressure's got to be through the roof. I know his girl's probably been trying to help keep him calm too. Uh,
Hey, it's getting me. It's low key getting me in trouble at home.
See, and that,
She's
ladies and
like, "What
gentlemen,
is
is what you
wrong with
don't
you?"
need. You can be passionate, but I'm telling you, Kev takes it to another level. But I love it because he's a good dude. We're all Bengal maniacs here on Life in the Jungle. As far as us that host, I appreciate even the people that aren't who tune in, man. We really do appreciate that. But yeah,
He's super funny and a hater. No, J. Coop. Look. I gotta tell y'all about J. Coop, and he'll be okay. He probably be watching this laughing. When Ohio State played Clemson, right? What you call the worst officiated game you've seen in
in the
your
past
life,
25 years, yeah, yeah.
past 5 years. You know, I that's when I thought, oh, y'all gonna lose to Clemson anyway. It don't matter. Like, but you know me, y'all get in, y'all lose to Clemson. Blah blah blah. He ain't give me a chance to talk trash. I woke up the next morning, I was blocked. I was blocked by J. Coop. He had blocked all my stuff. I'm like, you for real? I hit him up. I'm like, bro, you for real? You unfriend me, bro, and everything. He's like, man, I ain't listening to nothing you gotta say. I don't care. Like, I unfriended you. I ain't following your page. Nothing. I said, man, for real. I'm like, man, you gotta let me get some wreck here. But nah,
Jay
man.
Coop, don't worry, because I promise you something similar may happen at the end of this year. Also, by the time the college football rankings play out and certain teams might lose and so forth, me and brother Cam are going to watch a certain game that might involve two schools, and if they happen to play one another, I don't know what the future of Life in the Jungle is because Cam's going to hate me if I get the outcome that I think will happen.
I tell you this. I'm gonna pull a J. Coop. I ain't showing up for the
He
show.
gonna block.
I'm missing. I'm an unfriend Alex. I don't want to see none of his posts. I don't want to see none of that. I'm
Y'all hear
telling you right
Stephen
now,
A.
I'm
laugh when the
deactivating for like
Cowboys
2 days.
lose? Y'all hear Stephen A. laugh when the Cowboys lose? Oh, it's gonna be extra. I'm coming for Cam.
Hey, I'm deactivating for like 3 days. They're gonna be like, "Where he at?" I'll be like, "Man, I would be at home, cried away my sorrows, because I know I'm here to hear from y'all if that ever happens." But like I told you off the record, I don't care really if you beat me by touchdown 20. I just want to make the
You
playoffs.
say that now, but
I
but
want to make
there's
the
a good
playoffs.
there's a good
I
chance
don't.
that if it happens and they do get stumped, I won't hear from you for a month.
You not all realistic, all real. You'll hear from me. I'll be like, I have to take it. I have to eat it. But at the end of the day, I never claimed and stood on this table and said I won a national championship. No, I just want the playoffs. I've never you never heard out of my mouth say national
You
championship
just
before.
want the opportunity,
The opportunity, yes, the opportunity, absolutely.
and you want UC football to be acknowledged.
Yeah, you damn right.
Just like we want the Bengals to be acknowledged, but we're not as much in control of that. We need our guys to regroup, just to tie it back in and to handle what they can handle. Just like these college teams had to handle what's in front of them and play out their schedule, Bengals had to do the same thing. And they're professionals. And what we're hoping, the reason we're disappointed is because of the way the season started. But I
Yep,
think by everybody's metric, the Bengals are a little ahead of schedule. So hopefully they right the ship, man, and we come back after our prediction and midseason award episode, and we're talking about a victory in Vegas. Believe Cam will be out there
they better
in
do something,
Vegas.
and that's my thing too. Cause now, like, it's Vegas, so I'm gonna have fun. Obviously, my guys, and we finally get to hang out. But it's like a couple weeks ago, we like, yeah, we out there, we 5-2. We know one in the AFC. We gonna be dripped out in our Bengal stuff in Vegas. Now it's like we 5-4. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's not bad, like I told you, but when it comes from 5-2, you like, they better pull it out. But looking to have fun out there, support the Bengals. Y'all continue to support Life in the Jungle. Continue to support the Bengals. If you don't support the Bengals, support us. Watch the show. Uh, and I appreciate you, J. Cool. Just say I just love sports. That's why I show up every week. Great show. Appreciate you. Until next time. Until next week, Monday 7:30. We out.